Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 1 of Tower of God Season 2. There's a saying around here that if something is expensive, it costs an arm, a leg, and 2 front teeth. Well, in comparison to what the character we followed in today's episode of Tower of God was experiencing, I think that person who paid the arm, the leg, and 2 front teeth would be getting off pretty light, because in this universe, the payment is disguised as a weight loss surgery, and it's for things like a lung, your liver, your kidney, your eyes. It's not going to be pleasant. And holy crap, dude, if our guy who is trying to get up onto the next floor of the tower does not succeed, he is going to be missing all of that and more. And that is definitely not something that anyone would want to experience. It does go to show just how brutal and how cutthroat the world of Tower of God actually is, and the rise to go up the tower is, and the kind of person you would need to be willing to actually do that and to succeed. And we see a variety of different people in today's episode who are trying to move up, and they are much further along than what we were in Season 1. In Season 1 we were at the base of the tower and trying to get to the point where people could climb it. Now we're actually on the 20th floor of the tower, and they're trying to move up from there. And this seems to be a choke point where a lot of people cannot get past. That leads us into talking about our current spotlighted or main character, Ja Wangman, who is actually trying to do this, and who is the guy I was talking about who actually is in jeopardy of losing some organs if he does not succeed, because he actually took out a loan from a bunch of loan sharks and he does not have the means to pay it back, and he still hasn't gotten what he actually wants because the cost to take the exam to go to the next floor is very expensive, and he doesn't seem to have 2 nickels and a dime to rub together to do it. So we're actually watching what he is trying to do and how he is trying to succeed. And initially it seems like everything might be fine, but then something goes very, very wrong, which is, of course, the reintroduction of our leading character from the first season, Baam, who is actually 6 years older now and who is much more quiet, has much prettier hair, and who has a very dark aura that basically screams run, hide, flee. And we find out that Baam is apparently working for this group called Fug, who are against the King of Jihad and are therefore seen as rebels or traitors within the construct of the tower. And we see just how afraid some of the people who have gathered for this test actually are of him, based off of that insight. And they have extremely good reason to be afraid of Baam, because Baam's character seems to have shifted drastically from the character that we knew him as in the first season of the show. Baam speaks very little in this episode, actually I think only basically saying in one instance, there will be no need to fight. And it's not that there isn't going to be a need for a fight, because he is going to fight people, but there's going to be no need for those people to fight each other because he's about to kick all of their asses collectively. And I think it's very interesting to see just how much of his overall warmth and decency that he's lost. And understandably so, given the fact that he was betrayed so brutally at the end of Season 1. But holy crap, dude, it's like his entire concept of humanity has been swirled up and flushed down the toilet. And we'll have to see just how thoroughly that goes, because in this episode, he's only in half of the episode, and he really does only speak the one time. What we can say with certainty is that his powers have increased immensely, and that his fighting style is absolutely ruthless. Although, I will note the reality that he didn't take the easy shots. If he had been going for maximum efficiency, taking out the woman and the girl to ensure that they were out of the picture before the timer went out, and then dealing with the other assailants since he was strong enough to fight them, would have actually made more sense for a total victory. As it stands, with the fact that he was fighting against other people, there was the possibility of that little girl and of that woman moving forward. And frankly, neither of them had any business being there, because they don't seem like they were able to actually defend themselves at all. Of course, we actually have Ja Wangman say that to the little girl and make her cry, and we find out that the reason she is there, unlike our blonde-haired idiot protagonist going on right now, is that she's actually there to try and see her mom and dad again. I'm presuming they are dead, and she thinks that she can either wish them back to life or at least see them Mirror of Erised style from Harry Potter or something. But that's really interesting to see that her idea and reason for going through all of this is on such an emotional and personal level, whereas Ja Wangman wants to do it because he wants to become the king of the tower, and we don't fully know what Baam's motives are for anything that he is doing right now. We know that in the past his initial objective was to be able to climb the tower because he wanted to find out the truth of what was going on, and he wanted to find it out for himself, and he wanted to find out what happened, why Rachel pushed him, all that sort of thing. But I mean, it's been 6 years, so his priorities, his patience, and his personality have likely undergone drastic shifts, especially given what we see in this episode. And it will be interesting to see just what motivations and what objectives he actually has now, because it's likely those have changed drastically. As far as seeing the story through Ja Wangman's eyes as opposed to Baam's eyes, I think it's very interesting, because I think that Ja Wangman is a lot closer to how Baam was in the first season. He's more cocky than Baam. He's a much more loud and brash character, but he doesn't necessarily fully have the strength to back that up. I mean, the only reason that he survives the situation that he's in this episode is, first off, because when he throws his little bomb things, they actually trigger a almost PTSD type of reaction in Baam, where he actually gets a flashback of things, and that totally throws him off his game despite his overwhelming power and how strong he actually appears in this episode. And I think that's interesting, because that probably highlights the fact that while Baam has become physically stronger, he isn't necessarily mentally or like psychologically stronger in a way that would benefit him. He has wounds that are on the inside, and those can really hurt, especially when we're talking about something happening in a story. I also think that it's very interesting to see how Ja Wangman behaves toward other people, because I mean, he does yell at that little girl, but I mean, he's trying to get her to quit before she gets hurt. He doesn't outright attack her, and when someone else comes in and is like, oh look, there are 2 women, dead weight, kill them, he's like, no way, and he actually tries to stand up for them, which I thought was very commendable. I think it's really interesting to see, yet again, as we did in season 1 of Tower of God, just how distinct and varied the different characters and their motives and personalities can be. This is definitely a more dark and grim story world, where people are definitely forced to face realities that would seem incomprehensible to us in our lives here. But I think that it's really interesting to see just how that can really affect people, and I hope that we can see somebody in here with some honor and goodness and decency, because Baam was that light in a field of darkness in the first season. A lot of people laugh at him, call him a simp, say he is weak, but I think there's a true strength and integrity to the kind of person he was on the inside, and the idea that there is the possibility that that candle was snuffed out is absolutely disastrous, and I wonder who or what or whether anything or anyone will end up stepping up to actually be the heart of the show in the absence of that behavior. Because that's something that I thought really worked for the show, and it'll be a shame if that isn't there in some way, because without some form of light, then you can't really contrast against the darkness as clearly. Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with how this first episode went. I am not among those who have any issue with the change in art style. I liked the art style of season 1, and I liked the art style of season 2. I think that Ja Wangman is going to be an interesting character to examine the story through, and I look forward hopefully to us seeing more of what actually went down with Baam and what's going on with his character, so that things will make a bit more sense. That all said, what did you guys think of the first episode? Have you seen it yet? How do you feel about the new characters that have been introduced and this new situation we find ourselves in? Is the time jump confusing you, or are you following along okay? Any thoughts you have, drop them below and let me know, and I'll talk to you in the next video. See you later. Bye!